sometimes you don't necessarily need to know what you're doing. Sometimes you kind of blind luck sometimes comes along and helps you on your way. So that was a lot of fun, and what I called that is not necessarily blind luck. We called it warm water. And warm water is something that I've always been looking for ever since I started my career back in 1980 with Maui and Sons. So after we built Maui and Sons up to about a $20 million concern, I ended up selling the company, and great thing, because I was losing the feeling of the warm water. So after that, we started another brand, and it was called Pirate Surf. And Pirate Surf was a lot more rebellious. It was in the 90s now. All of a sudden, grunge was happening. So my partner and I made a flannel shirt. And the flannel shirt, we said, well, let's do something different to it. And we said, okay, what are we doing to a flannel shirt? Well, we decided to take it and acid wash it. Acid wash was a new thing back then. Everybody thought, wow, okay, acid wash flannel shirts. Well, we burned a bunch of holes in the shirt. Didn't know how to actually acid wash the shirt, but anyways, we separated all the acid wash burned hole shirts, and we had the actual ones that didn't have so many holes in them, and we were going, oh shoot, we got to sell these to the accounts. So we took them to the accounts, and our first accounts whipped open the bag, and they were all excited about it, and all of a sudden they go, we're selling more of the ones with the holes in it. Do you have any more with the holes in it? And we went, oh my gosh, okay, dumb luck maybe again, but at the same time, it was finding the warm water. The enthusiastic feeling, or the feelings of more than just us in our camp. It was outside in every other retail store across America. We built that in our garage up to about $1 million, and we're like, holy smokes, are you kidding me? Acid wash flannel shirts with holes in it. And then Kurt Cobain wore one of them, and he was like the guy up in Seattle that was Nirvana at the time. And all of a sudden, Quicksilver came to us and said, hey, we want to buy your brand. We said, all right, sounds good. So we ended up selling our brand to Quicksilver. I worked with Quicksilver for about a year, and we kind of lost the warm water. Different things happened. We said, well, we better try something else. So I resigned and started another company called Modern Amusement. Modern Amusement was a lot of fun. Modern was just coming in. Modern, mid-century modern furniture architect, modern living. Everybody wanted to be modern. And so we were going, holy smokes, did we do it again? I don't know, but let's try this. We started making some t-shirts, and it started working. So we're not real sure exactly what working was, but the people in Japan started loving the product. We built that up to about $5 million over in Japan alone. And a certain amount of time goes by, and we're digging it, everybody is liking it, and a company called Massimo came along and said, hey, we want to buy your brand. We said, well, shoot, okay, what do you got in mind? He bought our brand about 7 years ago, and I worked with him for about 6 months, driving back and forth to LA, thinking, yeah, I'm a designer, I'm making $300,000 a year, I'm fat, I've got everything going on. Unfortunately, there was no warm water in that type of scenario that I set up, and I was going, oh my gosh, I can't do this again, I'm not going to do this again. And then I said, yes, I am going to do it again. So on a Friday afternoon, I walked in, I was there early, and I called my attorney and I said, hey guys, we got to change this thing up. And they said, change what up? And I said, my arrangement with Massimo, I want to get out of it, I want to move on, I want to do something else. So I had lunch, and I never went back. I resigned that day from job, money, stock, a great opportunity of traveling and being in the opportunity of being in front of the pack with design. We felt we were doing all the right things. Well, I resigned that day, came home, everybody at home goes, now what are you doing home? And I said, well, I resigned, and my wife, she didn't quite understand it, but I said, I got a plan, and she said, all right, what's that plan? And she goes, you better have a real good plan, because walking away from something like this was kind of crazy at the time. But think back 7 years ago, the market was moving. A lot of people were looking at Paul Smith. Paul Smith actually just got crowned as a knight, or I don't even know what he is, but he's a very, very great designer, but he got to the point where he was knighted, and he was presenting clothing that was like more than just clothing. And we're hoping that we could do the same thing with modern amusement, and somewhat we did. We had a lot of fun designing colorful things, distributing them across the United States and then around the world, but I needed to do something else. So reason I bring that up is because it was more when there was a market that was saying no more, no more, no more, no more. And I don't want to say that I knew what was going to happen, or I knew that this day was going to come, but I do want to say that we are lucky that we pulled out at that time. And I stepped into a different deal. And I always call it the 405. If you're driving on the 405, you have to go at the pace and the speed and the stop and the go as the 405 is going. So I jumped off the 405 and I said, I'm not going to play that world. I'm not going to manufacture in China. I'm not going to set up my LCs. I'm not going to bring in $1 million a day to try to impress everyone and try to make sure that I'm the guy. So we decided to do something different. And so there's things on here that says design different, make different, sell different. So by using those three principles in this new design that we're going to do, I thought, what's the name and what are we going to do? Well, my daughter at the time was 16 years old, and she was sitting there going, Dad, are you serious? Or, I mean, what are you going to do? And I said, well, you know what? I want you to do a project right now during the 3 months of summer. I need you to start something, build it, and then figure out how you're going to sell the product that you build, and then reap the benefits from it. And she said, well, Dad, come on. And I said, no, you go upstairs and go to sleep and give me an idea when you come back down the next day. She came back down and she goes, I thought she was going to say, let's make a garden. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. But she said, let's do a clothing line where we make something out of things that are already here, or fabrics that are left over in the market. And I said, wow, okay, what do you think? And she goes, well, there's tons and tons of rolls of fabrics all over the place. There's tons and tons of people that want to cut and sew things here in the United States. There's tons and tons of people that want to buy something that is hand done and new and different. Design different, make different, sell different. And I went, wow, okay, let's see, what's the name? She said, well, why don't we call it something where there's no name, really? And I said, well, okay, what's the name? She goes, well, people like a lot of things that are generic. And I said, what people like a lot of things that are generic? And she said, the youth. They don't necessarily need a brand name on their garment. 6 years ago. I said, wow, so generic youth. Generic youth came about. I said, well, what's the logo? And we're standing there, and on our wall at our house, like this wall, we had pictures of the arts and crafts that the kids did when they were younger. And there was a silhouetted head of Coco, is her name, when she was in 4th grade. And I said, how about that one? And she goes, which one? And I said, that one, your head. And she goes, okay. So within a 1 day span, we developed the line, we developed the concept. And a line doesn't have to be a range of 40 pieces. A line could be one runner, one item that runs across America, and people go, holy smokes, that's a great piece. That's a great piece. And you get your foot in the door. Well, we made a shirt. And I said, okay, we made a shirt from fabrics that are left over in downtown LA. We designed that shirt, and then we made the shirt locally. We made our own pattern, we screened our own little thing on it, and then we said, where are we going to sell it? And we said, we need to sell it, she said, let's sell it at a beauty salon. And I said, beauty salon? I mean, wait a minute, I'm used to like Nordstrom's and Barney's and Fred Siegel's, and she's going, no, beauty salon. I go, well, why is that? She goes, because we're supposed to sell different, but there's tons of women in a beauty salon. And I said, well, yeah, okay, let's try it. So we took our little t-shirt to the beauty salon, 12 t-shirts, and we sold 12 t-shirts in a week. Okay? And we went, oh, holy smokes, is that happening again? Don't know if it was happening again, but we knew that we did what her summer project was, to make something and take care of it, build it, and then harvest, cultivate it, and then reap the benefits. So we took this principle and we said, okay, now that summer's gone, what do we do? Well, we took the name Generic Youth and kept on building it. And those three principles were the main three things that kept our business going for the last 6 years. Number one item that my wife, she goes, okay, we live at the beach. We got a ton of used beach towels that aren't ours, and I don't want them around our house. I said, okay. So we took the big bag of beach towels, and I said, what the heck are we going to make? Well, I said, well, if we design different, make different, and sell different, then the design aspect, we have to design into the towel. So it wasn't the fabric that we started with, and the body, and the matrix sheets, and all the different things that go into design. It was the actual piece of towel.